It is now my singular honor and distinct pleasure to now call upon the chairperson of the COMESA Authority, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, to deliver his acceptance speech. Why don't we give him a round of applause as he's coming to deliver his acceptance speech. Welcome, sir.
Your Excellency, my brother Evariste Ndayishimiye, President of the Republic of Burundi and outgoing chair of the COMESA Authority. Your Excellencies, heads of state and government, distinguished ministers, Excellencies, members of the Bureau of COMESA Authority. Your Excellency Mohamed Ali Yusuf, chairperson of the Africa Union Commission. Her Excellency Jileshe Mbundu Kapwepwe, Secretary General of COMESA. Excellency Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of ACFTA, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with profound gratitude, humility, and a deep sense of purpose that I stand before you today as the new chair of the COMESA market for Eastern and Southern Africa. I thank you for the trust you have placed in me and in the people of the Republic of Kenya to lead this great organization, one that remains a cornerstone of Africa's economic transformation and a model for continental integration under the Africa Union. Allow me to pay special tribute to my brother and friend, His Excellency President Evariste Ndayishimiye of the Republic of Burundi. Your Excellency, under your wise and steady leadership, COMESA has registered remarkable progress, and from all of us, we say thank you very much and congratulations, Mr. President. You have advanced our shared vision of integration and cooperation with diligence and dedication. For this, we owe you our collective appreciation and deep respect. Excellencies, I assume this responsibility under the inspiring theme, leveraging digitalization to deepen regional value chains for sustainable and inclusive growth. Indeed, it is my firm conviction that the future of our prosperity and our rightful place in the global economy will be defined by how effectively we harness the transformative power of digital technology. For far too long, Africa has been a passive recipient and consumer of technology. The time has come for us to become producers, innovators, and exporters of digital solutions, shaping our own economic destiny. In Kenya, the story of M-Pesa is a vivid example of the power of local innovation. A simple idea born from necessity and nurtured by ingenuity that revolutionized financial inclusion for millions. This is the spirit of African innovation we must now ignite and scale across our region. We must move decisively to digitalize every aspect of trade facilitation by investing jointly in physical and digital infrastructure, modern transport corridors, regional data centers, and secure cloud services. This digital superhighway, Excellencies, must not end in our capitals. It must reach every village, connect every farmer, empower every entrepreneur, and link our landlocked nations to the arteries of global trade. Equally, we must harmonize our digital policies and regulatory frameworks. Fragmentation is itself a non-tariff barrier. A single digital market for COMESA will require common standards for e-commerce, digital payments, data protection, and cybersecurity. Let us therefore accelerate the adoption of electronic certificates of origin, integrated single window systems, and interoperable cross-border payment platforms to make our region the most efficient place for trade on our continent. Excellencies, at this time, we must now leap into the fourth industrial revolution, Industry 4.0, by integrating automation, artificial intelligence, and advanced manufacturing. This is how we will transform our rich mineral and agricultural resources into high-value finished products within COMESA, creating quality jobs, boosting economies, and expanding our incomes. Digital solutions in logistics, including real-time cargo tracking, smart port management, and AI-driven supply chain systems will reduce transit times, cut costs, and enhance transparency in our trade networks, making COMESA the most efficient and attractive trading region in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, the attainment of our development objectives hinges on access to equitable, affordable, and sustainable financing mechanisms that promote inclusive growth and long-term transformation, not cycles of debt and dependency. As I noted in my recent address to the United Nations, the global financial system remains trapped in the architecture of a bygone era. Institutions such as IMF and World Bank, conceived in the aftermath of the Second World War 80 years ago, continue to be dominated by wealthy nations, resulting in persistent inequities and limited voice for developing countries and poor nations. In response, one of the most viable pathways for Africa and for regional economic blocs like COMESA is to strengthen our homegrown multilateral financial institutions such as Trade Development Bank, Afrexim Bank, Africa Finance Corporation, Shelter Afrique, Africa Re, and the Africa Trade and Investment Development Insurance, and ZEP-RE. These institutions, ladies and gentlemen, embody our collective determination to mobilize African capital for African priorities. We may recall that Trade and Development Bank, for example, was established under the preferential trade area, the precursor of COMESA, and has since evolved into the financial arm of our common market, driving regional trade, investment, and sustainable development. That is why here in Kenya, we are backing our words with action. Having already committed US $50 million as share capital to Afrexim Bank, we have just additionally invested $100 million to enhance our shareholding in Trade and Development Bank. And my good friend Tadesse, the CEO, is at the corner there. These African-led banks are proving to be true partners in progress. Through our participation, Kenya can now access long-term facilities of up to 25 years at reasonable concessional interest rates, tangible proof that investing in our own institutions yields real and sustainable value. By strengthening and capitalizing these entities, we are deepening regional financial integration and ensuring that Africa's development is financed on terms that reflect our realities, our priorities, and our aspirations. Excellencies, intra-COMESA trade, though improving, still accounts for a very small share of total trade. Africa, as we all know, and I was looking at the numbers this morning, only contributes 3% to global trade. And as we also know, intra-Africa trade, and I'm sure my brother Wamkele is here, is only 14% of all our trade. If you compare with Europe, 70% of their trade is intra-European. They trade 70% of their products within Europe. In Asia, they trade 60% of all their products and services within Asia. In Africa, we are only doing 14%. And that is why our contribution to global trade is only 3%, because we are not trading first and foremost with ourselves. And the reason why we are not trading with ourselves, and that is why the essence of COMESA, the reason why we are not trading with ourselves is because we have unlimited barriers. Just imagine that in the European Union, 26 countries, they have a single visa. Therefore, their people can move much more freely. In COMESA, with the, let's say, the tripartite agreement, we have 27 countries and 27 visas to be able to travel. Tell me, ladies and gentlemen, how we are going to catch up with the rest of the world if we are going to have this visa and that visa and the other visa to cross this border and the other border and the next border. So I want to commend my brother, President Ndayishimiye, this morning for announcing that Burundi is going to join countries in our continent that today are thinking about eliminating visa requirements for Africans to travel within our continent. Secondly, is the issue of trade barriers. We have signed beautiful agreements, but we are not translating those agreements into real movement of products and people on the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, we must move from competition amongst ourselves to cooperation and collaboration. From exporting raw materials to building value chains that retain wealth within our borders. At the same time, the question of continental integration must go beyond trade agreements and shared markets. It must also embrace the free movement of people, goods, and services across our borders. True integration will only be achieved when an African can travel, work, and invest freely anywhere within our continent. I will give you some numbers. When we decided as Kenya that we are going to open our borders to Africans and limit the requirements of visa, our visitors from Africa have doubled. Africa's strength lies in its openness and unity. We are optimistic that our sister countries across the continent will take similar bold steps, that together we may unlock the full potential of a borderless, connected, and prosperous Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, our growth must be inclusive, uplifting micro, small, and medium enterprises, empowering women and youth, and ensuring that every citizen becomes a stakeholder in our shared prosperity. Equally, sustainability must be central to our development model. We are stewards of a rich natural heritage, and we owe it to future generations to pursue growth that protects our environment. Excellencies, all these ambitions rest on unshakable foundations: peace, security, and stability. There can be no development without peace and no investment without stability. We must therefore strengthen our collective capacity to prevent conflict, manage disputes peacefully, and uphold democracy, good governance, and the rule of law. This must remain our highest and most sacred duty. The government and the people of Kenya are ready to play our part. In accepting the chairmanship of this great common market, I pledge to serve as a dedicated, energetic, and collaborative partner, working with each of you to advance the COMESA vision of a shared prosperity, integration, and transformation. Together, we can build a COMESA that is digital, that is dynamic, and deeply inclusive, a bloc that truly reflects the promise of a rising Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for choosing Kenya, coming to Kenya, and sharing this moment with us. And thank you very much for your audience. Asanteni sana.
Another warm clap for the chair, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto. And now we will progress to maiden statements. And to start us off, allow me to now invite His Excellency Azali Assoumani, President of the Union of Comoros, to make his statement. Let's give him a